arrived in Nagasaki on a Shinkansen high-speed train. And stayed in a hotel that was in the same complex as the train station. Nagasaki is on the western side of the Japanese island of Kyushu, at the end of a long bay surrounded by hills. The hotel was very nice, with an included breakfast option that had a decent range of Western, Japanese, and regional selections, and a gorgeous garden waterfall backdrop. The train station, a 5-minute walk away, had some wonderful restaurants. But the food court and the mall between the hotel and train station was where we ate the most often. Including takeout from the adjacent supermarket. Our hotel had a display of all the top city sights. The port overlook is a must-do at nighttime. Just 25 minutes away, first by bus, then by cable car. Our location is perfect for transit. Multiple bus and tram lines have stops here, and they're expanding. Paying is also easy with the refillable Ikoka or IC prepaid card that we bought in Osaka 3 years before on our last trip to Japan. You just tap on at the back, but don't tap off there.
No? Ah, okay. Okay. Arigato.
You must tap off at the front. Announcements for major tourist stops are in English, and signage from the bus to the peak cable car, ropeway as it's called here, was very clear. The IC card doesn't work for cable car tickets, but the line moved quickly and the ride up was scenic in itself. Plus, the narration about the design of the ropeway in Japanese and English was informative. We could see the peak complex from our hotel room. And the observation deck is very popular. To one side, the sunset view was pretty amazing. But the city lights below are the main draw. And you can clearly see the narrow Nagasaki harbor stretching out to the bay. Nagasaki has been a significant port city since it was founded 5 centuries ago by Portuguese traders. Many of Nagasaki's landmarks are of non-Japanese origin, because for 300 years, the city was the only place foreigners were allowed in Japan, and from 1859 through World War II, there was a formal foreign settlement, the primary Japanese entity for foreign trade. course, trade wasn't the only thing the Portuguese brought to Japan. Catholic priests were among the first settlers in Nagasaki, and by the late 16th century, between 300 to 500,000 Japanese had been converted to Christianity. Per the Treaty of Tordesillas signed in 1494, Portugal and Spain claimed colonial ownership of all non-Christian lands worldwide between them. So conversion and colonization were explicit goals of any settlement in Japan.
ポルトガルの望みはキリシタンにあらざる天下人を追放し、仲間であるキリシタンの統治者を据えること。
In 1596, a planned Spanish-Portuguese invasion of Japan was discovered, and the next year, on a hill above the harbor, 26 Christians, including 22 Japanese, were publicly denigrated, tortured, and crucified in retribution. Created in 1962, the 26 Martyrs Memorial and Museum were not on our hotel's board of landmarks, but they mark a major period of Nagasaki history, as more than 200 additional Christians were executed here over the next 41 years. Japan entered a period of extreme isolation 40 years later. Christianity had been outlawed, and all Portuguese were expelled. Dutch traders had first arrived in 1600. The English pilot of this first Dutch galleon, William Adams, attained samurai status and lived until 1620 near Nagasaki. He was the model for James Clavell's John Blackthorne. Dutch traders had no missionaries, so were permitted to stay, but were confined to a small artificial island for the next 200 years. Chinese merchants, who had been slowly entering Nagasaki with the Portuguese through Macau, were also permitted their own settlement, as long as they weren't Christian. Nagasaki's modern Chinatown was re-established after World War II close to the old settlement. It's a small, vibrant, and lively neighborhood with enough good restaurants to satisfy even the most discerning of tastes. In 1858, Nagasaki port was opened to greater foreign trade, and the Oura foreign settlement was created on the hills above the port, south of the Chinese settlement. One of the city landmarks is called the Hollander Slope. Where you can still see houses that were preserved from the foreign settlement. But the tourist heart of the Oura District today is Glover Street.
Nagasaki Food.
One shop sold products made from yuzu, a citrus fruit that Chinese merchants brought to Japan. We got a drink concentrate of yuzu and local honey. Other shops were selling castella, a Japanese sponge cake based on Spanish Castilian cakes brought to Nagasaki by Portuguese merchants 400 years ago. It's a Nagasaki delicacy that is sold with incredible packaging. A popular treat for Japanese tourists to bring home from Nagasaki. With the return of American and European settlers, Christianity also returned. An Oura Catholic Church was built in 1865. Dedicated to the 26 martyrs of 1597, It became a beacon for the descendants of Japanese Christians who went into hiding over 250 years before. This white marble statue of the Virgin Mary was imported from France and dedicated to these hidden Christians. In 1871, freedom of religion was made the law of Japan, and Oura Church is a UNESCO World Heritage Site of the hidden Christians of the Nagasaki region. Another key period in Nagasaki's history followed the restoration of Emperor Meiji to power in 1868. The emperor's Western-style army defeated the feudal shogunate, and he pushed Japan into a rapid phase of modernization with the help of Nagasaki-based merchant industrialists like Thomas Blake Glover. The 21-year-old Scottish-born Glover arrived in Nagasaki in 1859, 1 year after the city was reopened. 2 years later, he formed his own company, and 2 years after that, he built this magnificent home in one of the highest spots of Oura settlement. Glover became the first foreigner ever decorated by the Japanese government in 1908, and his UNESCO-listed house remains Japan's oldest Western-style building. The Hilltop Glover Garden Open-Air Museum holds Glover's house, houses of some of his neighbors, other Oura period houses that were restored and relocated, and the Mitsubishi Industries dockhouse that was instrumental in Japan's Industrial Revolution, and originally down on the water at the Nagasaki shipyard. Aside from all the Nagasaki history, Glover Garden is simply a wonderful park. And just like we wore traditional Japanese clothes, you can dress up here like 19th century Oura residents. One of the garden terraces houses a cafe that sells some light Nagasaki food, a fusion of Western and Japanese, and local cider and craft beer. Another of Glover's endeavors was to help found the predecessor of Kirin Beer, one of Japan's oldest and best-selling beer brands. A statue by the cafe is of Tamaki Miura, maybe Japan's greatest opera singer who performed the lead in Madame Butterfly, which is set in the Nagasaki neighborhood between Oura and Chinatown. A statue of the composer Giacomo Puccini stands nearby. 3 other Nagasaki landmarks are connected to the morning of August 9th, 1945. But we'll save these for our next video.